Today we're going to discuss the next part of my journey. So, to kind of talk about where we left off, I was at Con Edison previously, and I just finished my internship, and it was a great internship overall because I met such great people, had great mentors, and definitely learned a lot about taking risks in the sense of, hey, even if you don't know something, it's important to try to just put your best foot forward and just take a chance. So I'm really glad that I actually took this internship. And yeah, now now that the internship is over, now I actually have to go back to LaGuardia, and this will actually be my last semester here at LaGuardia. It's a little bittersweet because LaGuardia is where I got my pick me up. It was the start of my next journey, the next chapter of my life, and overall, I did enjoy the experience, and it was an amazing time. So as soon as I got back to LaGuardia, I actually talked to my professor, and I definitely told her that this internship was the thing that cemented everything for me. It made it so accounting actually became one with me, part of my DNA, as they say. So now, as I was going through my semester here at LaGuardia, things were going great. I was still doing my same study tactics and making sure that I was getting the best grades I could. But there was one particular course that actually pushed me to my limit. And one thing I do want to say is that even when you're in the pick me up phase and you're a little vulnerable, it's important not to give up too easily, because there's going to be a few road bumps out there that are going to actually try to put you back down into the place where you're, where you were before, pre-journey. So it's important to really assess these road bumps and then figure out a tactic to actually get through it. So the road bump for me in this case was actually my course in biology. So, but at first I thought biology was going to be pretty easy. Overall, the professor was great. But then I realized later on, as I started to take quizzes and exams, that this was actually very study intensive, even for, especially, because this was like, one of your intro courses at LaGuardia, for example. And I sometimes had to memorize 300 to 400 definitions. I had to memorize, different parts of the body. And sometimes it was like the very minute details of everything. And overall, it was definitely a lot harder than I expected. And this was actually the speed bump for me, where if I didn't actually take this seriously, this would be the reason why I didn't graduate from LaGuardia and then move on to my next phase. So, while I was pondering a strategy for LaGuardia, to finish off my semester at LaGuardia, I actually talked to my accounting professor and I said, hey, so I'm thinking about wrapping up my final semester here, and I literally have only a few more courses left. So what do you think are my next steps? And as we started to analyze all the schools that were out there, we actually landed on Baruch College. So Baruch College overall is an amazing school, has a great campus, and I actually went to the campus right before I started at Baruch just to kind of get a feel for the school. I actually walked around the library, I walked around all the school buildings, and I was like, wow, this is an amazing school. It definitely has like the vibe, like the business vibe, and it's kind of like you're in a corporate headquarters sometimes, even though you're in a class. And I just really love the business atmosphere of Baruch College. So definitely, it was definitely my next stop overall, and I'm glad that I actually went to it before I actually enrolled at Baruch. So now going back to LaGuardia, I think as we go back to these road bumps that we have in life, it's important to assess what are the strategies to tackle this road bump. And to me, I think I started to formulate kind of a list of, hey, these are the kinds of tactics that I'll need to start using going forward versus the ones that I was already using. Hello everyone, my name is Anthony and I'm the host of TheLostSanctuary. I hope you've been enjoying our content so far, and if you have, please feel free to like and subscribe. Also, we have our website up here, and we also have some socials down here, and as always, leave your comments down below. So some strategies that I actually started to come up with in order to actually tackle biology was actually I started to hang out with biology students. So there were actually some students at LaGuardia Community College who were actually biology majors or majors that were studying for like vet tech, and very science heavy students. And the reason I did that was because these were the students that were actually heavily focused on taking science, biology courses. And for me, that was more like one aspect of my journey. But to them, this was most of their journey. So what I did was that I started to immerse myself with them. And it's important to do that sometimes. Sometimes, like, as much as you want to hang out sometimes with your own classmates and try to gain knowledge from them, sometimes it's okay to seek out external knowledge. So knowledge from experts, from specialists, because these are the kinds of people who will not only give you the most pure knowledge on that particular matter, but they'll also be the ones to address any mistakes that you might do or like might call out. So one of the most difficult things for me when I was taking biology was actually the dissection of a pig. So I actually had to dissect a pig and then actually look at all its internal organs and identify every single minute detail of the organ. So basically, if I lifted a flap, then I would have to actually say like, okay, so what organ is that, or what suborgan is that? And overall, it was not easy. Sometimes the professor would put up like a pin in the organ for like the quizzes, and then I would not know because I was like, it kind of looks like this one based on the picture, but it really looks like this one based on the picture. And overall, it was very hard to identify because you would only have access to look at the pig, for example, during our labs, and not every lab would have the pig. So overall, it was funny enough, it was part of our final exam to actually look at a few different pigs throughout the exam, and then actually pick out based on where the pin was, identify on your test sheet what organ this is touching. And I was pretty scared overall because this was gonna be like the make it or break it for me, where if I didn't do this, then I wouldn't actually be able to continue on my journey. And I was very afraid because I didn't want to let not just myself down, but those that believed in me down. Because sometimes you're doing the journey on your own, but you have people who are kind of pushing you and giving you the support that you need, whether it's love, whether it's just emotional support, whatever you feel like the support you need at the time. So it's important to really respect those feelings if you can, and just continue as much as you can and just push through your journey. So I just want to say that as I pushed through and I made it through the exam, I was pretty afraid. I was like, all right, I did the best I could. I studied like crazy. I was studying with like study groups. I was with the biology kids / vet tech kids, and I just kept pushing and the end result was that I actually managed to get an A in biology, and I was over the moon. I was crying. I was really ecstatic to finally say that I've completed this chapter of my journey, which was LaGuardia Community College. It was a beautiful time. I made a lot of great friends. I made a lot of connections, and overall, I cherish the experience every day, and I'm glad that I actually went there. So this will actually conclude the Anthony episode 5. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job, and I'm wishing everyone out there all the best. All right, until next time, adios.